I had a much better review for this movie, but I lost it. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to be doing a review of the new Netflix movie Thrash, the shark slash natural disaster movie that just came out on Netflix. And what did I think of this movie? Well, the reason why I was kind of curious about it is that, first off, it's a shark movie on Netflix. And if I had a nickel for every time there was a shark movie on Netflix, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. But yeah, so um, the other reason why I was interested in watching it was because of the director, Tommy Wakola. Tommy Wakola, for those you probably don't know the name, you probably know his work from such things as Dead Snow and Violent Night, as well as I think he did one of the John Wick movies, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I was really curious to see how Tommy Wakola would do an animal attack movie. I was very curious to see how he would do a movie like this. So the basic plot of this film is that a Category 5 hurricane is set upon the Carolinas. I think it's supposed to be North Carolina, but I don't care. It's one of the Carolinas, and basically we follow multiple storylines of people trying to get out of the hurricane, but also in that hurricane, bull sharks have been thrown in from the flood. You know, this sounds very familiar. Like, I feel like I've seen this movie before, but instead of a shark, it was oh yeah, it's Crawl. This movie is just a bigger version of Crawl. A movie arguably just a bit better. So yeah, this movie is just that, and also a little bit of the Australian shark movie Bait. Just a wee bit of that. So much like with Crawl, it's a natural disaster film, and you have the animals in there too. We also have, so let's talk about some positives. Positives are few and far between, if I'm being honest. But I will say the opening act is pretty solid, and the final act is just full Tommy Wakola. Like it goes in the direction of like what you would expect for a Tommy Wakola movie, where it's like just go absolutely bonkers by the end. Like that's what it feels like. But we'll talk more about it. There's some solid shark kills in here. There's one really good one that I feel like got edited out, honestly. I do feel like that one kind of got lost in transition. What else is there? Oh, Daimon Hansu's in this movie, and I always like him. I'm always happy when he gets work, because I feel like he's a very underutilized actor. So I'm always happy when he gets work. So, yeah. Now, like I said, there's some solid shark kills in here. There's also some really solid use of how they utilize the sharks in some scenery and how they use these sharks. And it is a higher budget shark film. This isn't like your typical sharksploitation film. But yeah. Now, having said all that, let's actually like kind of talk about the movie, talk about what's wrong with this film, because other than the third act and the first act, that middle is a lot of nothing. I mean, there are some moments of like tension here and there, but you don't feel it. And I know I'm going to make some comparisons to Crawl, because that's what this movie really does feel like half the damn time. So when it comes to Crawl, you had this feeling of when the alligators were, when the hurricane wasn't the threat, the alligators were. When the alligators weren't on the scene, the hurricane became the threat. It really knew how to balance, and maybe it was because it was a smaller, it was a smaller scenery, it was a smaller cast, but it knew when to utilize both sets of the threats. Here, I never got that. I never got that feeling of one threat overshadowed the other. So yeah, that was my first problem, was that the hurricane almost felt like an inconvenience. And this is a Category 5 hurricane, and outside of maybe one or two scenes, there's no immediate threat. of the hurricane. And when the sharks aren't around, it almost feels like everyone just forgets the sharks are there. Um, that was kind of my first biggest problem with it. Also, every actor does not feel like, outside of maybe Daimon Hansu, and even he's like feels like he's phoning it in, um, and maybe one other actress. Everyone in here just kind of sucks. Like there's several different stories. Like one of Hansu's character, who's a shark expert, who's trying to save his niece, who's agoraphobic. You have the agoraphobic herself, who saves a pregnant woman, who's of course giving birth in the middle of a hurricane and sharks, and the story of three kids who are orphans and adopted by cartoonishly evil foster parents. Like, I'm talking the Harry Potter level of relatives, that kind, you know, of foster parents. But whatever. Yeah, no one matters in this film. Like, no, like that middle half where they're like, there's moments in here where it's just like, guys, I don't get that sense of urgency. I'm not feeling anything. I'm not feeling any kind of sense of urgency. I'm not feeling any kind of like need to like hurry this up. And yeah, by the end, it just goes nuts. Like, there's a moment where like the woman's giving birth in the house that's flooding. Finally, like, it's actually like and she's like she's like, all right, I'm giving birth now, and she puts on 1,000 Miles by, well, who's it, Vanessa Hughes. Just instead of like trying to desperately find a way out, she's like, no, I'm going to give like, I know, like, you can't just choose when to give birth, but like, I'm just going to play music in a sinking house instead of try to find a way out. And then she gives birth in the middle of the flooded of a flooded area. And again, I know you can't really give, but it's like a quick birth. It's immediate. And she pulls her newborn baby out of the water as she's like swimming perfectly. It's my understanding, and I'm not a woman. Obviously, I am not a woman, and nor am I a mother. Again, obviously. But to my knowledge, childbirth is a very taxing thing on the human body. I would imagine giving birth in the middle of shark-infested water, to a newborn child would be a very physically taxing event that would keep you from able to carry your child, also break off a piece of wood and use it like a spear while also holding your baby and keeping it from drowning. Not only that, there's a moment where the shark knocks the boat over if they just have the kid. I'm like, that kid should have, like, I'm not trying to be morbid or anything when I say this, but like, that kid should have died 5 times over. That kid's got to be like, his dad's got to be like Superman or something, because like this newborn survives like getting knocked into a boat, falling into water. And like, not to mention, this is probably like the water she gave birth in is probably the nastiest, most polluted water, because it's got debris in there. You've obviously got like wreckage and also probably raw sewage that has been upchucked from the flood. So yeah. Okay. And then they do an Evil Dead mode. You know, the Evil Dead shots where they do the close-ups on building something? Yeah. I'm like, you didn't, no, Tommy, you didn't earn this. You didn't earn this. And also, this was supposed to be almost like a dark and serious movie, and then you just do an evil. And I love my Evil Dead homages. I do love my Evil Dead homages. But like, at the same time, I'm like, you didn't earn this, Tommy. You didn't. Yeah. Also, there's a jump cut where someone's getting violently eaten by a shark, and then it cuts away to one scene that doesn't really add anything, and then it cuts back to the mauling, and then it cuts back, and I'm like, was there some problem in the editing room? Because that scene should have been put with the agoraphobic trying to get help while we're watching the one guy get his head bit off by a shark, which was a cool scene. But yeah, all in all, not great. It's not awful. I will say that. This is not an awful movie. I definitely, but it's like, not only do we have 2 shark movies on Netflix, but we also have 2 really bad shark movies, because good God, Under Paris sucks. I have no idea how people like that movie. Yes, it's over the top and all that, but like the movie is just a big ball of aquatic stupid. And here, it's just we have a and this movie feels longer than it does. Like this movie is 90 minutes long tops. Thrash is about 90 minutes long tops, but it just feels so much longer. And maybe because it's just that second part that just goes on. I don't know. So, I mean, give it a look. If you have Netflix, I'd say just give it a look, but don't expect anything great. So if you have seen Thrash, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of it. Comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.